I was actually sleeping all the day long, so I missed very interesting moments here. Some of them that I can mention now, I can recall now, from what I've been told. First, there was a nice and a very big prayer here in lunchtime, with many people attending, and that was meaningful, from what I understood. And besides that, today, as you know, yesterday was a very tense day. People were waiting for a police attack and evacuation, brutal evacuation of this camp, and eventually this didn't happen. Two things happened yesterday which were meaningful and interesting. First was a meeting of representatives of this camp, including some artists, from Turkish artists, that were meeting with Prime Minister Erdogan, trying to find a solution to this dispute about the park and about should they stay here, should they not. Wow, look at this. So I understand that the meeting was, well, it was a good beginning. I mean, they decided that they will establish, not establish, but they will open committees for every subject that is in a dispute, and we'll discuss it. And dialogue is, of course, better than violence, and regime violence. And the second nice thing that happened yesterday, you probably watched it through Revolt Istanbul or my channel, was that yesterday night was a concert all night long. It started at 9 o'clock p.m. and it's ended in 10 o'clock a.m. when an amazing pianist coming from Sicily, Italy, actually now he lives in Germany, but he's a Sicilian. His name is David Martello. He was playing piano in a beautiful concert that was, as he described it, he said, "This is my weapon. This is my weapon against, violence, against." What he just said is that he came to camp to show solidarity and to try to use his instrument to create a different atmosphere. And wow, it was so strong and so meaningful, and it made such a difference, because during yesterday night the atmosphere was so tense and people were so nervous. It wasn't easy. Police was surrounding the area. There were plenty of rumors, and I think people felt trapped, because they didn't want to give up, and we're proud that they didn't. But on the other hand, they were really afraid of a bloodshed. And then, came this concert, and people were surrounding, and thousands of people were surrounding him while he was playing. And in every few minutes, someone from the audience joined him, either singing opera, either playing with him, or playing and let him rest 2 or 3 minutes. And that was so beautiful and amazing. And he was keep doing it all night long. And in 7 o'clock in the morning, I remember somebody asked him, and he said, "Yeah, I think that for tonight we're safe. I mean, not for tonight. Tonight it worked for us. Now it's already 7 o'clock in the morning and we're safe. You see, nothing happened tonight." So this is about yesterday, and what happened today will be in the center of our stream, at least in the next hour. Is that today, after this meeting with Erdogan, the camp has to take some decisions. And how do you take decisions? When some good questions are coming up, like who are the representatives, or how should we decide? Who decides? Who represents us? And then what happened since morning and up to now was that the camp was divided into 7 regions, and in every region they made an assembly. People were gathering there, sometimes shouting, sometimes just offering their suggestions and discuss the issues, the hot issues, and then they came up with suggestions and decided about them. And they also selected some representatives for a general assembly that will be held, that is actually happening right now, somewhere not so far from here in Istanbul, in Taksim Square. But it's close for us, and that's fine, they should talk. transparency will be that they're probably going to publish the decisions or maybe the discussion itself. But anyway, today was a quite interesting and democratic way. People were discussing all the day, expressing their feelings and their ideas, and sum it up into some suggestions and some decisions. And now there is an assembly, a quite crucial assembly, with the representatives of all these 7 regions, and soon we'll run an interview with a guy from Solidarity Taksim, which is the organization that is, one of the founders of this Gezi Park protest, and he will be telling us about this process of decision making, and you will be able to ask questions through chat, and we'll try to present it into him. I mean, it depends on how many viewers we'll have, because if we'll have too many, it will be difficult to address all the questions, but we'll probably ask him few questions. About myself, I'm a little bit tired this evening, although I slept all day long, because yesterday I was streaming from 9 o'clock or even earlier, but anyway, the concert started at 9 o'clock p.m. and I was following the concert up to 9 o'clock a.m. I think, or maybe a little bit earlier, and then in the last hour of the concert Vlad substituted me. I mean, he did it instead of me. Well, that's a break of a personal record. Not that not that I care about records, but I never streamed for 10 hours without a break. And anyway, but the atmosphere was so unique and so amazing, and so many people from so many countries were with us in this beautiful solidarity that it's worth every moment and every stiff back or whatever. Holding a camera for 10 hours is not that easy. But anyway. Well, look at the beautiful atmosphere. It's the beginning of the weekend tonight, and many visitors are here, and also the atmosphere is less tense. People are not carrying their gas masks today. I mean, and many visitors, and also I don't know, many. Like the camp is really lively today. Lots of music everywhere, lots of assemblies, lots of anything you think. Let's just see some, and then we'll get to that interview I promised you. I guess we have viewers from Turkey, of course, and also from Israel, because I'm an Israeli streamer and I publish it through my friends, and of course from some other countries in the world, because well, let's see what's going on here. See, the atmosphere is really. Yesterday there was also music, but it was a little bit different. We're in Gezi Park, if you didn't understand that. Almost everywhere, every corner you find people gathering, either talking, either arguing, either singing, or sometimes dancing. We'll try to catch it from a better position. Just a second. Hey. It's really difficult to. Well, it's between the tents, and it's quite crowded here, so we cannot get closer. But you see, this is only one of these corners. Let's see how the camp looks like tonight in some other places as well. And then we get to that interview I promised. Now people are calling Tayyip Istifa, which means everyone, please resign. Not please, everyone resign. Somebody's asking if the police is still attacking. I guess that some of you didn't follow us in the last few days, and maybe you're not really familiar with the details, so maybe I should sum it up for you shortly. Well, you know, the couple, yesterday and the day before, and maybe even the day before were very tense, you know. First, the police took over Taksim Square and dismantled all the barricades on the roads leading to Taksim Square that were closed and occupied actually by the protesters for over 2 weeks. And it was a day of many clashes between the police and few demonstrators that were, you know, resisting. Not few, but between the police and demonstrators that resisted in several ways. You know, some of them were non-violent, like setting a human chain, trying to block the water cannon. Those tomas, it's called. Those cars are called tomas, and there were people standing in front of the Toma sometimes, you know. I recall one guy with a Turkish flag that was just standing there waving with this flag in front of the Toma, and you know, the Toma driver didn't know what to do. He was just standing there for a couple of minutes, and there was a woman laying just, you know, next to the legs of some policemen, and they didn't know what to do. And on the other hand, there were not few, but there were also demonstrators that threw stones and some Molotov cocktails, and they didn't want to hurt the police, but they wanted to defend themselves, you know, from this brutality of the police, and that was, at least in my eye, self-defense action. There was, you know, we were all tear gassed in that day, really quite severe. But the police didn't enter the park. The clashes and the conflict was in Taksim Square, which is, you know, just downstairs the park. You know, there are 19 stairs that you go down, and then you're in Taksim Square. And that was that day. And then in the evening, many people arrived, you know, to protest, and not to protest. I mean, yeah, to protest, but it was many people came to strengthen and show solidarity to the people of camp after a hard day, you know, in Taksim Square. So the square was full again with people, with thousands of people. It was really packed with people, and it seemed happy again. And people were, you know, quite determined, telling that we're here to stay. We just began, and you know, and then there was, I don't know, there was a provocation. Some people say that, you know, those provocators are undercover cops that were throwing stones on one of those cars, the police cars. But it was an excuse for the police to immediately attack, and it was really irresponsible, you know. I don't know, maybe 10,000 people. I don't know how many people were, but the square, the Taksim Square, was really packed with people, and it's so dangerous to, you know, without any, there wasn't any call of the, I don't know, a police officer that is asking people to I don't know, to move away, to go, to not demonstrate, to go back home. Nothing. Just out of nothing, you know, there was there was gas. I mean, they gassed us. I can tell you about my personal experience that in that evening, you know, it was until that moment the atmosphere was so nice. You know, after a hard day, it was a pleasant evening, a happy evening, another presentation of civil power, and it was really nice. And I just went to take a photo. You know, I left my mask, my gas mask, and my protection glasses in the camp, and I just went for a second just to take a picture and come back. You know, I didn't think of taking the stuff because the atmosphere was really relaxed at that moment. And then, without any notice, but any announcement, I mean, they just bombed us with gas. That was so terrible, really. And you know, so many thousands were starting to run away. So that was the day before yesterday. And then at the night, you know, I mean, that gas here. What happened to my English? I mean, that gas that they threw on us was just the beginning of a very tough evening with lots of gas. People were running all over, and you know, it was a hard evening. And then yesterday was another difficult day because people were expecting an attack on the camp, and